Was ist los? It's your German boy, and welcome back to Lucy's the Eternity She Wished For. Now, in the last episode, we got to thinking, after we ran away from home, we had a bit of an intimate moment with Lucy and kind of explored the concept of what truly makes a man, or what would truly make the original Lucy. So, after that, perhaps against our better judgment, we've decided to come home to see if our jackass father decided to finally cool down. Where we last left off, we just stepped in the door, so we'll see where this goes. I don't hear anyone, but I do see my father's shoes. Could he be taking a nap? It'd be a blessing if we didn't fucking run into each other. Carefully, without making any sound, I enter my room. Skipperoonie. Ooh, we're actually seeing shit from Lucy's perspective now. Okay, this ought to be interesting. Hmm, should I read this? What the hell? Lucy's cleaning a room. She appears to be in a good mood today. The room isn't very messy, but that's only because Lucy's been working diligently. And even though the room isn't messy, she continues to clean as usual. Sorry to become a part of her daily routine. Without allowing a single speck of dust to fall on the floor, Lucy proceeds with clinical efficiency. Lucy glides across the floor with a vacuum cleaner. She dusts each and every corner and organizes the pile of books on the desk. She hangs up the jackets inside the closet and places the folded underwear inside various drawers. She repeats this process. Not too long after, she finally stretches her back, then wipes her forehead with the back of her hand. The way she massages her waist while letting out a deep breath is no doubt the appearance of a typical woman. She stares at the sky through a window. It'd been a while since she'd seen such warm, sunny weather. Compared to the chilly weather she'd be seeing lately, this was quite rare. The sunlight is faintly shining down from the sky. It's almost time for her master to return home from school. She makes her way towards the living room to finish up the rest of her chores. When Lucy arrived in the living room, she tilted her head in confusion. It was because she'd heard something. It's father's voice. She can't make out what he's saying, but he's speaking quite loudly, as usual. It doesn't seem like he's just talking to himself. Soon enough, Lucy hears the voice of another person. It's a woman. With careful steps, Lucy makes her way toward his room. But she suddenly stops to think. She's reminded of Father's frightening demeanor. She might get scolded again if she runs into him. Feeling a little scared, Lucy stops at the base of the door. From there, she cautiously peers into the room. She sees Father. He's talking to a lady that Lucy's unfamiliar with. She looks like she's in her early 30s. Lucy quietly mutters to herself. Being careful not to get caught, she listens in while keeping her distance. Her sensitive ears begin to pick up their voices clearly. I blame everything on the robot. Nothing's been going well ever since that thing came along. Lucy knows that eavesdropping is bad, but overcome by her curiosity, she continues to listen. My son has started acting strange. He was never like this before. I can't do a female voice, so I'll just let you read that yourself, guys.
Are you sure? I've always felt that he was the rebellious type.
Yes, I'm sure. He might have been a little on the quiet side, but he still used to be a good kid.
Well, if you say so, dear.
Lucy came to that conclusion from the way that woman was talking to Father. She had heard once from Masters that Father had remarried with the young secretary, but it seems that she doesn't stop by this place very often. Ooh, Lucy, you're playing with fire now. I'd been thinking something was up, but I never thought his condition would be so severe. He's completely out of it. To think that he's confusing a robot with a human being.
Ah, that's just like what's been on the news lately. Tisk tisk. How could a young boy like him lack such common sense? Confusing a machine with a person.
That robot is strange. It's eerily realistic. It's far better at copying people than other models. I've seen that sly contraption laugh and cry.
Didn't you say once that she has quite the looks, too? Since she's just like a person and listens to his every command. I can see how it could be problematic for a boy his age. But still, she's just a robot. Perhaps he's having trouble at school?
Trouble?
Don't they say this often? That unsociable children are usually the ones that get attached to androids? Since they have trouble getting along with people, they get attached to androids instead. Robots are always willing to listen to them, unlike people. It's clear that he's having trouble with his school life.
I wouldn't know, since he rarely ever talks about what happens at school. Anyway, it's certain that the robot is the cause of all these problems. There's no doubt. but I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Isn't it obvious?
What do you mean?
Why don't you just go destroy it?
What?
Go dispose of it. The robot's the reason behind all this, right?
Her words were followed by a moment of silence. But then he'll be really upset about it.
Isn't it just like a toy anyway? When his condition improves, we can always buy him a new one.
It's not as simple as that. The robot looked a bit special.
Then are you planning to leave things the way they are? You think his feelings are more important than his future? Something must be done about this, right?
Yeah.
Then just get rid of it. Go smash it into pieces or set it on fire. Whatever.
Father appeared to be mulling it over. You're right. That robot is the cause of all of this. If that robot disappears, if that robot gets out of our way, everything will soon return to normal. That was as far as Lucy could listen. She couldn't bring herself to stay any longer. She started to walk away from them, looking sullen. Correction. She tried to get away. Oh. While scrambling to leave, Lucy bumped into a nearby display containing a jar. She managed to catch it just in time to prevent it from crashing onto the floor, but she made a lot of noise in the process. Who's there? Father and the woman rush out of the room. It's you. Were you listening? Lucy makes an excuse while putting the jar back in its place. Babe, I think you just fucked yourself. That's enough. It makes everything a lot easier then. I order you to leave this house. We have no use for you. There's nothing we need from you in this household, so leave. My son doesn't need you either. He's only confused because he's young. You're not being of any help to my son. You're only causing him to suffer. So run along. Forever disappear from our sights. Lucy stood in a timid posture, but her voice was as firm as ever. What? In the past, she wouldn't have been able to say for sure. But now, it's different. She continues to speak with great confidence.
ターが言ってくれました。ルーシーが必要だと言ってくれました。ですから、ルーシーは出て行きたくありません。これからもずっとマスターのお役に立ちたいです。
Alright. It doesn't seem like we'll get anywhere by talking. Father disappears off somewhere. A moment later, he returns with a container filled with gasoline. I can't bear to actually read this. Lucy stands in silence with the gas covering her body. No. No way he wouldn't. Father takes out a lighter and flicks it on. He holds the lighter threateningly close. This is my last warning. Leave if you do not wish to be turned into a pile of ashes. And don't you dare come back. Stay out of my son's life forever. Lucy silently... not reading that. What should Lucy do? She tries asking herself. But there isn't anyone that could give her an answer. Without knowing what to do, Lucy remains standing still for quite a long time. Her body is designed to be able to withstand intense heat for a short while, but it won't be long before she begins to melt. Lucy suddenly remembers Master's order. Run away if she's in danger. That was the order. Lucy didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do, but she decided to leave the scene first. Staying here would be going against the second and third law of robotics. In order to prevent that, Lucy begins to move. With a sad look, Lucy leaves. Don't even think about showing up here ever again! If you do, you better be prepared to pay the price. I'm in no way exaggerating. Keep that in mind. All Lucy did was to give the ground a lonely stare. Did she really have to part with Master like this? With a heavy heart, she made her way outside, leaving behind a slimy trail of gasoline. Father followed after to make sure she left. Once outside, Lucy found herself staring at the sky absent-mindedly. It was bright and sunny out, which had been a rare sight in the recent weeks. As he stopped in her tracks momentarily, she stared into the sky. Then she smiled brightly. It was a refreshing smile, free of all cares in the world.
今日は本当に天気がいいですね。
She thought it would be good weather to go for a picnic. Even after all you've just been through, that optimism still refuses to die. God fucking speed, Lucy. Never stop being amazing. Queen. As soon as the classes were over, I prepared to leave. Dr. Gears struck up a conversation with me immediately after the bell, which was a real bother. I couldn't really pay attention to what he was saying. It was something along the lines of him wanting to hang out with Lucy again, but I ignored him. I set aside his demands and headed home alone. It feels as if I've been getting home a lot earlier lately, and it really is true. I've started going straight home after school. Past, I would have aimlessly wandered the streets to pass some time, but I can no longer do that. 'Cause there's someone waiting for me at home. I would have never imagined in the past that this would ever happen. Who knew going home would be this exciting? I wonder what we'll talk about today. I wonder what kind of faces she'll make, what kind of stupid things she'll say. I wonder about the most pointless things. The pointless things that I was so excited to see. I enjoy chatting with her about those dumbest things. How much do I enjoy it? Well, it feels as if my life had been purposely so dull and boring up to this point in order to make up for my fated meeting with Lucy. There's a point where I'd begin to have silly thoughts like these. That's how much I enjoy it. Even I think that sounds corny, but it honestly can't be helped. 'Cause emotions are not something anyone can easily control. I decided to pick up my pace, just so I'd be able to meet Lucy a little faster. Righteous. It was when I'd almost arrived home that I began to feel something terrible was about to happen. I didn't understand why, but I could feel it in the air. Something ominous. I quickened my pace even more. I was practically running. Was? I couldn't believe what was happening before my eyes. I felt my knees giving way. What kind of sick joke is this? My mouth hung wide open and refused to close. That's it! I'm done! I'm done! I can't take any more of this tonight! I'm out of here! It's your boy, Wiedersehen!